Alright, welcome cats and kittens to another episode of Feline Opinionated, and today we're talking about Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book. So the real question is it like the film? That's what we're here to discuss today, and we're looking at Walt Disney's 1967 Jungle Book for comparison, right? And honestly, this is one of the rare cases that I will say the film is better than the book. But I think that the book has like so much to be explored. It's like such a fantastic like piece of literature. It's just so great. But let's start with the differences. So we're going at the beginning of the film. So you have Shere Khan is there from the start. He does not come in later. He's just there from the beginning. So you have Bagheera and Akela, and they're leading the wolf factions. I mean, Bagheera's kind of an agent of his own chaos. He's just entirely his own faction. Like, everyone respects Bagheera the Panther. When he speaks, people listen. However, he is not nearly as stern as like the films make him appear. Because in the film, he's all like, "Oh, okay, I gotta keep this child under control." Like, this kid is just so much hassle. And in the book, he feels like so responsible for Mowgli, but he calls him little brother. This is his little brother, and he absolutely loves him. In fact, if you look at Bagheera and Baloo, it's like their characters have been like switched for the sake of the film. So, again, Bagheera's just like, "Oh, big old softy," and Baloo's there like, "Ah, oh, I love this kid. But I will have to beat him into submission because for real, he can learn nothing from me. I am here teaching him the laws of the jungle, and this idiot keeps wandering off." Literally, Baloo is the holder of the laws of the jungle. And he knows all the languages of, every single animal and, knows the way to talk to people. And he teaches Mowgli how to respectfully talk to everyone except the monkeys, because honestly everyone hates the monkeys. They're the bandolog in the book. And so yeah, in the book, he's like, "Oh, I will teach you to talk to bird and beast alike, the fish and the frogs and everything, but not those guys. Fuck those guys, they suck." Okay, so usually everyone hates the monkeys. I really went off on characters there. Yeah, I guess we'll continue in the vein of keeping characters. So what's Mowgli like in the books? So as we know in the film, he's a little bit of a little bit troublesome, just a little kid. He wants to stay in the jungle. He wants to be with his friends. He's grown up here. He's having the best time of his life. It's the only world he knows. And in the book, oh my god, this boy, this child is like a demon. he's like, all the animals are very aware of that Mowgli is not an animal. He is a man cub. And the main way they illustrate this in the book is that no one can look into his eyes without feeling uncomfortable, because those are not animal eyes. Those are human eyes. Human eyes know too much. They are master, and they yeah. But Mowgli himself is like, "Alright, okay, yeah, so Shere Khan's over there talking trash about me," and everyone's like, "Yeah, pretty much, and he's talking trash to your face too." And he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna throw hands. He will be dead by my hands." And everyone's like, "Okay, I have no doubt you can kill Shere Khan." He's like, "I'm gonna." It's so funny to see this kid be like, "I'm gonna kill this tiger. I'm gonna beat anyone who's doubted my ass, and I'm going back to live with the wolves." And the wolves are like, "Nah, man, I don't think we won you after that speech." And he's like, "I'm gonna throw hands with someone." He's so ready to beat down. It's so great. And then you've got Shere Khan. Now in the film, Shere Khan is cunning. He is powerful. He is a danger to everyone. In the book, he's still cunning, but more in a political manipulator kind of way. He's lazy. His foot is lame from a trap that he was sprung in years ago, and he just cannot be bothered. He's like, "I want to kill that human because I think that no human has the right to live in these forests, but I know I can't really do it without anyone's permission, so I'll politically manipulate everyone around me until the wolves feel like they have to give me Mowgli, and that's how I'll do it." And by the time you spend all this time doing this, Mowgli's already "I'm leaving on my own volition. I'll come back when I'm stronger and I'll beat your ass, tiger." And the tiger's like, "The hell you will!" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll kill you." So it's really funny to see the differences in these characters. Okay, so looking a little bit more at the story itself. Everyone who's seen the film, we all know the story of the Jungle Book, roughly. But how does the actual novel go? So we start off with the political factions. Again, that's Akira, the leader of the wolves, and he's getting too old to lead the wolves now, so none of them are really listening to him anymore, but he's got like a little bit of respect, mostly because Bagheera's there backing him up. And they're like, oh shit, a panther? Yeah, let's listen to that guy. And then you've got Shere Khan. Now, Shere Khan's got like this real issue. Again, he knows he can't like win politically unless he buys the people's vote, really. So he'll like bring scraps to the wolf cubs and he'll be like, yes, look, I've done a mighty hunt. And he hasn't. He's just like slaughtered a cow or like a bit of cattle or something. And then like, since that's on farmers' land, first off, the smarter animals are like, okay, stop messing with the humans, man. You're gonna get us in trouble. And he's just like, don't care. This was easier to hunt. I'm not going to do a real hunt. Are you kidding me? Do you know how tiring that is? No, eat your cow and shut up. And then he like buys the wolf cubs like love and affection that way because they'll just follow whoever's feeding them and they kind of forget how to be wolves. And then you kind of have, like, since Mowgli is being sent away and knows he is now being sent away, again, he has every intent to return. He knows the jungle is his home and he is not leaving it behind based on any tiger or any political influence. He's coming back. But he's just like, guess I'm going away anyway. All right, I'll go. There's some humans over there. I guess I'll go, like, live with them for a while. But on the way, he has, like, his sets of troubles. Mostly, this happens with the Banderlogs. Again, those are the monkeys. Because the monkeys, they're really much more of a hassle than anyone would give them credit for. They are, like, one of the main threats of this book, in the sense that they are too much trouble for their own good. So, like, what happens with the monkeys in the book is, like, no one will talk to them because they're too close to human to be animals. But, you know, even among the animals, everyone's like, oh, we hate those guys. They suck so bad. And then, like, so when Mowgli runs into these guys, when they kidnap him, when they take him away from Baloo, Baloo's like, oh, now we have to talk to them to get him back. It's like less of a, oh my god, the boy has been kidnapped, and more of a, oh, we have to deal with the monkeys? For God's sakes, they're the worst. Do we really have to? Can Mowgli, is he not getting himself out? He's not getting himself out of this. All right, let's go, I guess. So these guys go off to go get the monkeys and everything. And they know they can't beat the monkeys on their own. Again, the monkeys are like too much of a threat. So who do they go to get? They get Kaa. But we will come to Kaa in a second. Generally, as far as the monkeys go, they're not there to make fire or do anything like in the films. They just basically go, well, we're sick of the animals ignoring us, and we're sick of the humans ignoring us. So if we get a king like the humans have, and if we make it Mowgli, then people will have to listen to us because, like, you know, now we have a king. But as soon as they get Mowgli, they kind of forget their own plan. And they're sort of like, yeah, we brought this boy here. Why do we do that? Well, I'm sure we'll remember later. So Mowgli's sort of like, seriously, you brought me here to be your king, and I'm, like, totally down with that. Like, I don't really want to leave the jungle, and if I have an army of Bandalog, I guess that's better than nothing. And so I'll be your king, and they're like, who are you? How did you get here? Did we bring you? Fine. Let's go trashing the place. And it's just, they're too disorganized. They're too stupid for their own good. They're just in for the next thrill, whatever that might be. And again, like I said, this brings us to Kaa the Snake. Kaa the Snake, very huge threat in the film, you know, he almost eats Mowgli, he almost eats Bagheera, he's second to none other than Shere Khan, and everyone's terrified of this dude. And when they get to Kaa in the book, it's more Bagheera and Baloo go, well, we're not going to get we're not going to get Mowgli back from the monkeys. They're chaotic, but there's more of them than us, and if we start fighting and throwing hands, they're going to absolutely destroy us, so how are we going to get him? And they go, well, the only thing that the monkeys are afraid of is Kaa the Snake. Everything's, like, pretty much afraid of Kaa the Snake, so they go to get, like, this massive python. And they go get him, and it's so funny. Kaa is so funny to me. He's my favourite character of the book because, like, they're talking about the jungle and they have to make it seem like it's his idea. Like, he wants to eat and go get the monkeys. Like, hey, we're going near the monkey temple, gonna grab some lunch. you in, bro? And he's like, oh yeah, what a great idea, this is great. But my favourite line from Car definitely comes when he's like, the jungle is different from when I was first born. The branches are weaker and everything's changed. And I was like, whoa, Rudyard Kipling, are we going to get into environmentalism in the time this book came out, which was like seriously long ago? Are you way ahead of your time? And then Bagheera sat there like, man, you were a baby when that happened. I think you're just fat now. And he's like, oh, fair enough. Yeah, that would make the branches break. I am just fat now. Kind of great. I've grown this old to be this fat. And I'm like, oh, what a king. What a king. Like, he's sat there like, yes, the branches break. And it's like, nah, bro, you're just heavy. And he's like, oh yeah, I am. Well, being heavy is better than anything else. So I absolutely love this like banger of a snake. Also, again, like, so snakes don't tend to hypnotize their prey. It's more of just a thing of like a deer being caught in headlights, but because it like was a really good look at the time to have an animal like so terrified of am I gonna die and going into its freeze response, that a lot of writers and like artists and people who studied things like that, like they thought, oh yeah, snakes must hypnotize their prey. They don't. But again, this is a big point of the 67 Disney film. You see Car do a lot with his like eyes and absolutely go into freezing these animals, and and Mowgli again, Bagheera, it's like a whole thing. And instead in this one, he does that in this novel. He does have this hypnotic power, and Baloo and Bagheera immediately regret working with him, as he does hold all the Bandalog in place, but he also holds them in place. The key difference in this section is that the one animal he cannot hypnotize is the one that no creature can look into the eyes of, and that is Mowgli. So Mowgli's like looking around like, why are they all just frozen? Oh, well, I'll get my bros and we'll leave. And then they do that. They go. They get out of there. So like, again, a really interesting point of just like, oh, this is like very different from the film. Next, again, like I said, another difference from the film ends with Mowgli going into the man village, and I thought that's where the book was going to end, but that's just like the beginning. It's like the middle, really. It's not very far in at all. And Mowgli goes to this man village, and first off, he hates it there. He absolutely detests it. There's barely anything keeping him there except for he's got to learn the way of being stronger in the ways that men are. And he is very much educating himself, like, how do I make fire? How do you do your cattle running? Like, what makes me stronger? What will make me better, smarter? Because seriously, there's this tiger, and he's been talking some shit, so I gotta kill him. And so, like, the men very much hate Mowgli as well, because he's very much like, you idiots know nothing because you've never lived wild. And they're like, oh, this wild child knows nothing because he's never lived as a human. So it's very much like contention from the start. Also, I'm sorry, Disney, you were kind of racist. Very racist. So it's Disney. We knew this was coming. So like Disney are like, oh, what do the people in India live like? And it's like, oh yes, mud huts and shacks and like, and then like there have been people who've lived like that in history. Of course there are. But in the book, Rudyard Kipling did his homework, and this like Indian village that Mowgli finds himself in is really quite opulent. And like the woman who adopts him like thinks that he's her son reincarnated, and so she's like the richest woman in the village, and she's got like all these nice like chests of drawers and these jewels, and they talk about how rich she is in rupees, and like it is never understated how wealthy this woman is, and it's so amazing. But again, this is like another slight change from the book. And then Mowgli doesn't even have to try hard to kill Shere Khan, by the way. Is it a big fight? No, he waits till the tiger has like come to the farmland, because he knows he's going to come back. Mowgli knows that Shere Khan is hunting him, so he's like, oh, I'll just pretty much wait till he's here. He waits till he's asleep, and then he is already learned how to herd the cattle, so he herds the cattle onto Shere Khan and literally watches them trample him to death, and then he like takes the pelt. And like the humans are like, wow, that's like the tiger we've been trying to catch because he's been eating all our cattle. And he's like, well, get your own tiger. This one's coming back into the woods. I gotta go back to the wolves. And they're like, seriously, bro, you're leaving? I mean, we hate you, but like, can you at least give us a tiger pelt, like, before we stone you to death out of town, which they literally try and do. And he's like, no, you're trying to kill me, shut the hell up. He's like, oh, I hit every single one of you, by the way, except for you, because you were my mother. Thank you for adopting me. I will, however, never be returning. And he, like, gets out of Dodge. And again, this is sort of, like, nearing the end of the book. Like, going to the man village wasn't the end. Like, leaving the man village wasn't the end either. And it's about how he, like, returns to live in the jungle and be free with the wolves, knowing that he fits into neither world, but that he could willingly enter both. The one line I really hated in the book, though, is that, it just gives it a little bit of an epilogue, and it's like, oh yes, and Mowgli lived on in the jungle for many years more, until he got married. And I'm like, dude, you just spent, like, 20 pages describing how much he hated the man village. Don't tell me this dude's gonna get married and settle down in human laws and ways with this woman. I'm just like, maybe let's not, like, do that. Yeah, they do. Let's see. I should mention as well something very interesting about this novel is how very clear it is that Rudyard Kipling must have loved animals. Like, he was ahead of his time in some ways and kind of just in the time in others. Like, there's some chapters that I'm going to talk about in a minute that I'm just like, okay, well, you were a part of that time, it's not great. But there's others that he was just, like, so far ahead. Like, the way he talks about animals is pretty unparalleled for his time, I would say. But one of the animals he talks about best is Bagheera. Because Bagheera reveals a secret to only Mowgli, sorry. And he tells Mowgli to feel under his chin. Mowgli does, and he finds that there's a scar underneath, and it's where he wore a collar for many years because he belonged to a Maharaja and was kept as a pet in a menagerie, and, like, by the King's Throne as well, like, you know. And he's, like, talking about the reason that I love you, little brother, is that I once belonged to humans, so I know that you cannot be all bad. But also, I will never be chained up again. And it's like this very poignant moment between the two of them. As far as reading the book goes, the chapters are quite long. Like, it doesn't really have chapter breaks. There's some use of, like, very old English in the books. The artwork is quite simply beautiful, like, very detailed artwork. But, I mean, even, like, going back to the Old English, even if you struggle with Old English, it's not very difficult. Like, it's, like, very little used. You'll see sentences. I've just, like, flicked to a random page, and most of the sentence is, like, quite modern, but then you'll just get, like, a little bit where it's like, okay, let's see. We will see what the pack will say to this fostering of man cubs. The cub is mine, to my teeth he will come in the end, or bush-tailed thieves. It's, like, just the "or" there. It's like, oh, you know, like, or the "o" ones are, like, yeah, it's not very, yeah, here we go again, sorry. The cub must be shown to the pack, wilt thou still keep him, mother? And it's like, wilt thou, you know, but still, it's, like, so easy to understand. So it's, like, not very difficult in that regard at all. Finally, in, like, the end of the Jungle Book is not the end of the Jungle Book in the sense that it's actually got a few small stories hidden in the back here. So the first story is the white seal Lucanon, and it's about the only seal that is born white. And I was like, oh, okay, so where are we going with this? Is this just a happy little story about seals? Because it's, like, takes place in Nova Scotia. Like, the Jungle Book just rapidly ends. It's like, okay. Meanwhile, in Canada, so it's, like, a really weird little twist. It just goes off on. It's like, oh yeah, okay, are we done in the jungle? What's going on over there, over the seas? And it brings you to this, like, very cute little story about a seal. For the first few pages, then it's traumatic. Then it is traumatic as hell. Like, Rudyard Kipling was like, "Ah, look, he's a white little seal." And that's why the seal clubbers didn't kill him, as he saw his friends slaughtered, because they were like, that's the holy seal, and we can only beat to death with our clubs the rest of them and wash the ocean in their blood. And I was like, holy hell! I thought we were here for a good time. And he's like, yeah, well, so were the seals until they were beat to death. Learn your animals. And again, you can, like, very much see in his writing how much he hated this act of, like, people beating defenseless seals to death with clubs in this, like, very brutalized manner where they cannot escape. And the whole story goes on to tell how the white seal is trying to lead them to the promised land where they won't be beaten anymore. It's just, oh god, I was like, I think that's the most interesting of the short stories that, like, this book introduces, but, like, oh my god, it goes from 0 to 100 real quick. The next one is about a mongoose, Rikki Tikki Tavi, and it's about, again, we're back to India with this one. It's like, okay, we've took our trip, we're back to India, come on back in. And Rikki Tikki Tavi is just this little mongoose, and all mongooses dream of being owned by people, because if they're owned by people, they get a very fat, happy life. And but they, like, it talks about how Rikki Tikki Tavi really lives to serve his people, who he's literally just met, because, again, it's like his dream to be adopted, so he's, like, doing this for the high life. And Mongoose's greatest enemies is snakes, so it's very much like how he's, like, throwing down with the snakes in the garden to earn his place. It's sweet, it's funny, it's, like, a little heartwarming, it's quite a cute little story. 10 out of 10 recommend. Tumai of the Elephants, this is sort of where I'm like, okay, yeah, Rudyard Kipling, you really loved animals, but maybe this one isn't great, you know, like, again, you're still a person who's very much of your time and in your time, so I can't blame you for this. But Tumai the Elephants talks about an elephant rider and, like, his son, and his son is, like, who the story is based on. So I also lost a bit of interest here, because I was like, no, I want to hear from the elephant's perspective of being ridden, not from the child's perspective of riding the elephant. And it's like how he dreams of becoming a great elephant rider like his father, even though his father's like, nah, it's hard work, it's bad pay, and you'll always be in servitude. And I'm just like, I just feel like it kind of misses the mark here, in the sense that it's the animal who's in servitude. It's literally imprisoned by its leg to a chain. So much so that there's this bit at the end of this little story where it's like the elephant hears the wild elephants calling it, and Tumai the boy rides with him to a place called the Elephant's Ballroom, which is, like, the aphorism they use in this story for talking about how the elephants go and stomp, like, parts of the jungle flat and to, like, go move on to the next nesting grounds. And the elephant, like, breaks free, and all the elephants in camp break, like, some of the elephants in camp, like, the stronger ones, are able to break free and go join their wild brothers, but he's on his back because he was with him. So, like, at the end, you're like, oh, is Tumai gonna set this elephant free? No. Instead, he's like, oh, okay, cool, you had your night of freedom and wildness, let's go back to your chains. And the elephant listens to him and goes back to his chains, and I'm like, oh, dude, your prison sucked. And he's like, yeah, he had a night of being free and I was wild with him. Wild times, let's go back to indentured servitude. It's maybe not a great story. Finally, we end with Her Majesty's Servants, and it's, like, all about the songs that the infantry animals sing. And it's about, like, the animals are sort of comparing themselves, going, well, whose life is harder, you know? Because, like, I'm at the front, like, riding with a soldier on my back, and, like, it's like some of the donkeys are like, yeah, well, we're the ones pulling the carts along. And it's all these animals, like, that are in an inventory, like, talking about, like, their roles within the army and, like, what their jobs are to do, and sometimes how it's scarier and not worth it. But then thinking, maybe we shouldn't be comparing ourselves, maybe we should just be comrades in this job and know that we all have our place to be. And again, I don't know, the tone sort of shifted in this one, in that I just didn't find it very interesting. Maybe you will, I don't know, like, I really care about it that much, so I kind of have like less to say about it. You know, I'm not really about army life, and I'm not really. I know. It just like there was no big adventure. It was just like a lot of conversation, a lot of dialogue. So I really love that one. Um, yeah, but to conclude as well, like each chapter in this novel like ends. Again, chapters are very long, but each chapter in this novel pretty much begins and ends with a poem or a song, and it's like the song is the main theme of like the animals that were in it, you know. Like the Banderlog have Banderlog songs about like what it's like to be ignored, and Car the Snake has like I think one in here somewhere about like being the biggest like and sort of toughest thing that like no animal can resist. The wolves have a song about being in a pack. Mowgli has a song about defeating Shere Khan. It's like very old form poetry, but it's still like quite a nice thing to see. So anyway, if you've seen the film, if you've read the book, if you've done both, tell me which you liked better, the book or the film. Tell me if there's any parts that you really liked, or if there's any other book to film comparisons that you want to see or hear about, then talk to me. Message me in the comments, and I will see you guys next time.